The wind bit at her cheeks, but she didn't stop. Her voice rose into the cold morning air, raw and haunting, wrapping itself around the few strangers who passed by. Most hurried along, heads down, ignoring her presence. A few tossed loose coins into the guitar case at her feet. But she wasn't singing for fame or fortune. She was singing to save her brother. If you had been there that morning, you might have walked past her like the rest, just another girl with a sorrowful voice on a busy sidewalk. But if you stayed, even for a few seconds, you would have felt something in your chest shift. Because behind that voice was a story of sacrifice, love, and the kind of hope that refuses to die. And by the end of this story, you'll understand why one of the world's most powerful music moguls slammed on his brakes, just to listen. 17-year-old Aria Monroe hadn't planned on singing in the streets. A year ago, she was rehearsing for school musicals, planning prom dresses with her best friend, and laughing with her little brother Tyler over ice cream sundaes. Her world was simple, bright, filled with melodies and dreams. Then the diagnosis came. Tyler had leukemia. Aggressive. Rare. Life-threatening. Their mother, already working 2 jobs after their father passed away in a construction accident, was crushed under medical bills. Insurance barely covered the basics, and the experimental treatment Tyler needed wasn't even on the radar. So Aria stopped singing in the school auditorium. She stopped hanging out with friends. She sold her guitar, took a job at a fast food place after school, and spent every other minute in the hospital with Tyler. But when his condition got worse and the doctors mentioned a new drug trial, one that came with a $22,000 price tag, something inside Aria snapped. She didn't have money. She barely had time. But she had her voice. The first morning she sang on the street, she felt humiliated. Her hands trembled as she gripped the cheap second-hand guitar a neighbor had donated. People barely looked at her. Some snickered. One man muttered, "Get a real job." But Aria kept singing. Because every coin meant another pill. Every dollar meant another hour in the hospital for Tyler. She chose the songs carefully, songs that told stories, songs that cried when she couldn't. Her voice, naturally beautiful, began to carry the weight of her pain. And slowly, people began to notice. A little girl sat down on the sidewalk and clapped. An old woman gave her a sandwich. A college student handed her a $5 and whispered, "Keep going." She returned every day. Rain. Snow. Wind. Her fingertips cracked. Her voice went hoarse. Still, she sang. And back at the hospital, Tyler clutched her recordings like treasure. He played them on loop, telling the nurses, "My sister's going to be famous one day." But fame was the last thing on Aria's mind. All she wanted was time. Just a little more time with the brother who still believed in magic, who still smiled through pain, who still thought she could change the world. And maybe, she could. One gray afternoon, Aria stood in her usual spot outside the downtown shopping district, singing an old Nina Simone ballad. Her voice cracked mid-note, and tears pricked her eyes. Tyler's fever had spiked that morning. The doctors were talking comfort care. And she only had $6.13 in her guitar case. She kept singing anyway. What she didn't know, what no one could have predicted, was that a black SUV had slowed to a crawl at the intersection behind her. Inside sat a man in his late 50s, wearing dark sunglasses and an expensive coat. His name was Marcus Devlin. The Marcus Devlin. CEO of Devlin Records. The man who discovered 3 Grammy winners. The music mogul known for being ruthless with contracts and impossible to impress. But in that moment, he wasn't the mogul. He was just a man who had lost his own sister to leukemia 15 years ago. And the voice cutting through the city noise wasn't just a sound, it was a time machine. It was grief. It was a second chance. Marcus pulled over. Rolled down the window. Listened. Then, without a word, he got out. Arya looked up when she noticed the silence. The crowd had parted slightly. A tall man stood a few feet away, arms crossed, sunglasses hiding his eyes. "You wrote that last verse yourself?" he asked. She nodded, startled. "You're good." She blinked, not understanding. He stepped forward and handed her his business card. "Come by my studio tomorrow. Noon." Then he left. Just like that. Arya didn't believe it at first. She thought it was a joke. A prank. But when she showed the card to a nurse at the hospital, the woman gasped. "You have no idea who that is, do you?" The next day, Arya stood inside one of the most prestigious recording studios in New York. Marcus didn't ask her to change. He didn't try to polish her pain into pop. He let her sing. He let her cry. He recorded everything. And when the first single dropped, "Streets of My Heart," the world listened. Millions were moved. Donations flooded in. Tyler got the treatment. His fever broke 2 weeks later. Months passed. Arya's name climbed the charts. She performed on late-night shows, gave interviews, signed autographs. But she never stopped visiting the same corner where she once sang for spare change. And every year, on the day Marcus stopped his car, she returns. Not to perform. Just to sit. And remember. Sometimes, the world notices the loudest voices. The flashiest talents. The stars already shining. But sometimes, it stops for a voice full of cracks, pain, and desperate hope. And when it does, miracles happen. Because love that sings for someone else, that's the purest song of all.